Welcome to Live the Mod Life, where we celebrate women and cool men too who are breaking free from the status quo and living life on their own terms. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Abernathy, and together we're going to explore stories of transformation, resilience, and empowerment. Plus, each month, I'm going to bring you Get Ready for Mod News. This is insights and trends to inspire your life's journey. So let's rise above the expectations, unlock our true potential together, and remember, it's not midlife, it's mod life. And if you're not living your mod life yet, you will be on your way after listening to this episode. Let's go. Okay, hi everyone. This is Jennifer Abernathy, and welcome to our first edition of Mod News. And this is news that really a lot of media outlets aren't talking about, but I think that it might be interesting for you to know about and for all of us to know about. And so I'm going to bring it here to you on Mod News, and just interesting tidbits of information that might give you some good conversation out there and talking with your friends or even family around the dinner table. Okay, well, number one, I just returned from Martha's Vineyard a few weeks ago. Now, why is this Mod News? I attended, are you ready? I attended the 50th anniversary celebration of the movie Jaws. Yes, the movie Jaws, Steven Spielberg's thriller, 1975, top movie of the year, top grossing movie, one of the top movies of all time. And it was the 50th anniversary, and I couldn't believe it. Was on the wait list for tickets for 9 months. I got the call 3 days prior that a ticket became available, and I said yes to myself. And even though it was a splurge because everything was at the last minute, but this is something, if you're living the mod life, we need to do from time to time. We need to reward ourselves. And so I went to this event, and it was literally, planes, cars, and ferries to get there because I flew up to Rhode Island from Washington, D.C. I rented a car and drove from Providence to, I think it's called Walls Hole. I believe it's Massachusetts. And took the ferry from there over to Martha's Vineyard. And it was such an adventure. And I was a little nervous about it, but I had a great time. But anyway, got there. And I have to give a shout out to Martha's Vineyard. The island went out of their way to make this an incredible event. People were there from literally all over the world. A lot of people from Australia, a lot of people from the UK, and of course, all over the US. And these were people that literally saw the movie for the first time in the theater, 1975, and they were in between the ages of 9, I'm going to say to 15 at that time. And so we were all around the same age group, and it was a great time because not only were we celebrating this movie, but I think also we were celebrating, it was a time in our lives that was just a really good time. It was 1975, and it was pre-internet, is where you could go outside and play all day, and your parents didn't have to worry. You're out the door at 9:30 in the morning, and you don't come back until 5 o'clock at night. And there's some great music in the 70s, and it was, just a whole entirely different time. And this movie came out, and it was so scary, but it was so good. And we just, it was just something that was just cemented in our memory. So anyway, we all got together, and like I said, the island really went out of their way to, we got to meet a lot of the kids that were in the movie Jaws are now in their 50s and 60s, or now they're mostly 60s. And a lot of them were there. A lot of them opened up their houses that we got to come in and meet with them and hear about what it was like to film the movie. We got to see parts of the island where they filmed them. They filmed most of the movie there on the island, which is very unusual. And I have to give a shout out to Martha's Vineyard Museum because they did a really great job they had an incredible Jaws exhibit that I know they spent a lot of time putting together. They had a lot of incredible movie paraphernalia, memorabilia, I should say, from the script to the ads that were in the local newspaper looking for extras. God, I wanted to be an extra in that movie. As a kid, I always thought that would have been fun. And just all kinds of things from the movie. And it was, like I said, it was just such a great time. And we all got together at this private event on Saturday night, and there was 300 of us in there. And Richard Dreyfuss was there, and some of the children of the people who participated in the movie were there. And it was just a celebration. And like I said, we all came together. There was no division, and we were from all over the place, and everyone was just there to have a great time. That's all I can say. We were just there to have a great time, and it was so much fun. And so I'm going to say to you, if there is whether it's a movie, whether it's a band, whether it is something that you collect, and there is a event around it, or a concert around it, or a convention around it, do yourself a favor and just go and be with these like-minded people. And like maybe you have a passion for, I don't know, I'm going to say perfume bottles. Well, there's association for perfume bottle collectors, and you could go to their convention and you forget about everything else happening in your life and in the world, and you get immersed in something like this, and it just does something for you. That's all I can say. It just does something for you. And so I had a great time. It's going to be something I'll never forget. And I want to encourage you guys to do something like that for yourself as well. That's living the mod life. I really, it was not cheap, me doing all this, because I got my ticket and my Airbnb, which, by the way, I stayed in an incredible Airbnb up there. And, renting the car, all because I booked it at the last minute. I paid a lot, but it was worth it. It was worth it. And so I say that's part of living the mod life, to have that memory for yourself. So try to find something like that 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 really interests you. Maybe it's you love flowers, you want to go to the flower show in England, and just be around that. Whatever it is. Okay, go and have a good time. So that's mod news for me, and something that I did, but let's talk about a few other things. Right now, there's a lot of research going on around the world around our brains and the aging brain, and particularly in women's brain aging. And there was a recent research identified a gene that appears to slow brain aging in women. The study was published in July of 2025, and it found that women's brains metabolically age more slowly than men's. And gene therapy targeting the PLP1 gene improved memory and cognition in aging mice. And so these findings may lead to future therapies to help women, and potentially men, retain cognitive abilities as we age. So I thought that was key. And brain health is something we're going to be talking a lot about here on Mod.Life and live the Mod life, because it's an issue. It's an issue. And we're going to be living longer, but we need to be living longer better. We need to have a longer, what we call, health span. And so we want our brains to be healthy. So what the scientists are discovering now is that, yeah, sure, maybe your parents had dementia or Alzheimer's, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your story. And they're finding that there's a lot of things that we can do in our 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even prior to that, to help with brain health, getting sleep, exercising, making sure we're socializing with other people, not drinking alcohol. Sorry, but they're saying now that alcohol just is not good at all. And I know from France, they say, one glass a day is fine. But anyway, everything I'm reading as of late is saying that alcohol is just really bad. Now, I do have a glass of organic red wine every now and then, but that's it. That's it. And so we have to really be watching our brain health. So anyway, I thought that was a good story to share. And so just know that there are breakthroughs happening, and they're going to be happening more and more. And we have to look at global studies, not just here in the U.S. So globally, there's a lot more scientific research happening, I believe, in other countries now. Um, okay, what else? Menopause health is a big thing that's in the news lately, and just everywhere. There's products, there's vitamins, there's all kinds of things that we can do for menopause help and support that can help everything from hot flashes to pain relief. And so I think that's an exciting area that's making menopause something that's more freely talked about. And also a lot of gynecologists out there, they didn't learn about this when they were in med school. So I think it's really important to find a doctor that knows about this. I started seeing they call a functional medicine doctor. And functional medicine, they do everything from, they get down, they check your hormones, with blood work, and they really get down to, your vitamin levels and things like that. Because I was experiencing, I wouldn't say definitely brain fog, but I was experiencing focus issues. And I was like, I can't focus. It is strange. I mean, I have been someone who could hyper focus. When I need to focus, I could hyper focus. And I couldn't do it. And my job requires me to do that. And so that's what led me to the doctor. And I found this functional medicine doctor. And she said, the reason why is because you don't have any estrogen in your body, and nor testosterone, really. And so, I've gotten on that. And it was like within 3 days, I was feeling like a different person. So, anyway, lots happening with menopause help and with regards to our hormones, because we're going to be living longer, and you can't live better longer, I believe, without hormonal help. I mean, when we're in our 80s and 90s, we're going to need extra hormones to help us out. And if we want to live better and live, live well and live with vibrance. At least that's my feeling with the information that I have right now. But again, do your own research and come to your own conclusions there. But that's what I'm seeing out there. Okay. What else? There's a lot of recognition now celebrating women in science, and imagine a world with more women in science. Women, we think differently, and we need more women in science that are going to help us with everything from, again, medicine, vitamins, to transportation, to space, and what's out there and possibilities. You put a group of men in the room, you're going to get one outcome. You put a group of women in the room, you're going to get another outcome. You put men and women in a room, you're going to get a different outcome. So it's very important that we have women in science. And out there, I'm seeing a lot of things now that are really encouraging more women to get into science. And I think that is a great thing. It's going to be a win-win for all of us. Okay? It's going to be all good. What else? There was a large study using artificial intelligence that compared facial skin of over 500,000 women in Europe and China. And it found that European women experience more pronounced wrinkles and sagging with age, while Chinese women show a steadier increase in pigmentation. Okay, they get pigmentation, but not necessarily the wrinkles and the sagging. Kind of interesting, right? The U.S. wasn't in this study. However, it said that these findings will influence future skincare and health interventions tailored to different populations. So I am a wannabe futurist. I'm good at seeing trends and signals. I am not a futurist by paper or a certificate or degree, but it's just I have always been able to see trends. And the trend I'm seeing in skincare, of which that's something that I'm very into, is skincare. But the trend I'm seeing is eventually, one day, and it'll probably be within our lifetime, the skincare is going to be personalized based on us. In other words, my skincare ointment or lotion or cream or astringent that I use is going to be based on my bioidentical body, okay? And it's going to be bioidentical to me, but the lotions and astringents that you use are going to be bioidentical to you. And that's where I see it going, which is kind of cool. I mean, let's face it, we've all seen the women out there. Have you seen Vera Wang? I mean, I think she's 79 this year or 76, 79. Anyway, I should know that. But I mean, her skin, she just doesn't. And yes, they probably all, had some work done. But I'm just saying, skin care has advanced. And I haven't had work done, but I do like, I moisturize, I stay out of the sun, I try to eat well, to all impact my skin. But I am excited about some of these things that are coming up. And so just stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of cool things coming up for our skincare, which is very good. And so that's exciting. Okay, what else? We are also finding that human rights, including women's rights, are at the center of conversations in both Europe and Asia. I don't know why they're not here in the US. I think just because, we are in a place right now, July 2025. And so, but over in Europe and Asia, there's a lot of advocating for better protections and opportunities for women. And it says it's going to impact women at midlife and their access to health care, employment, and social participation in a good way. So it's something we need to really look for, and look for leaders who are going to bring that to us here in the United States now and in the future for us. Otherwise, I think a lot of women, like many of my friends are doing now, is they're opting to live in other countries at least part of the year. Or they're flying to other countries for medical benefits, or they're flying to other countries and living there for a month or two out of the year. The world is going to get smaller and smaller. It's going to be easier to travel. And I think that these are things that we just need to be aware of. What's happening in other countries? What are the possibilities in all of these different arenas with regards to impacting and advocating for women's protection and our healthcare, employment, and social participation? I think that is key. Obviously, there's a lot of countries out there where that is a huge issue, where women are being, for example, Afghanistan, for example, there's so many, many terrible things that are happening to women there, and, they need our help. So this is another issue that, I'll just bring up from time to time in Mod News, what's happening with, our human rights and women's policies, not just here, but around the globe, because I feel like we can learn from other countries and what they're doing. And it's just being aware. Okay. So that is just a few highlights there, which I thought would be kind of fun. And let's see, I wanted to share with you a couple other people that are doing some interesting things. Ariana Huffington, which many of you may have heard of, she's in her 70s, and she's doing a lot on, women's rest, women's wellness. And I think her story was she was really, really tired. She was really burnt out, and she fell and she hit her cheek on the corner of the table. She passed out, I think, and hit her cheek on the corner of the table, and I think broke her cheekbone or something to that effect. I mean, it was serious. And so now she's just this advocate for, getting rest, and we don't need to go, but rest is best, and, really taking care of our well-being. And so she's still doing a lot of things, in her mid-70s, and championing the importance of well-being and rest. And so I just say to all of you, again, when you're in your mid-70s, or even if you are, it's still time. You can still do these things. You can start a blog, you can start a podcast, you could start a conversation group in your neighborhood about something that you're passionate about, and just like Ariana's doing. And you don't have to go on that level as her, but you can do it on a smaller scale. And it's living the mod life, okay, by doing that. Speaking about rest, I was at a conference a year or two ago, and there's a young woman there in her early 40s, and she had written a book on strokes. And I said to her, if you can give me one tip on how to avoid having a stroke. What would that be? And she said, get sleep. Get really good sleep every night. And I think, I haven't read her book, but I think that that's what her book was about. She just was going, and not getting enough sleep and living off caffeine and running around and with the stresses in life. And she had an early stroke. So we're going to do a whole podcast on sleep and sleep hygiene. And it'll probably be a reoccurring thing because it's something I'm really into and learning more about. And I think when you're living the mod life, we have to prioritize sleep. We don't have to sleep our life away. That's not what it's all about. But it's just about getting good quality sleep, having sleep hygiene, and we'll go into what that is. That's your sheets and your pillows and your temperature in your room and what you're wearing and all that stuff. So sleep is really important. But again, I just wanted to share that about Ariana Huffington and their mid-70s continuing to champion this for women. Okay. Michelle Fitzsimmons, she has recently made history a few months back, and she's in her mid-50s, I believe, and she became the first female deputy chief in New York City's fire department. That's a big job. Male-dominated field. And she's done this, and she's a powerful example of perseverance and leadership. That's a hard job, a very honorable job. And so congratulations to Michelle Fitzsimmons for breaking barriers in public service, okay, in her mid-50s. So congratulations there. Dr. Caitlin Carrico, in her late 60s, she continues to be recognized for her pioneering work on the mRNA technology with the vaccine. Her story is a testament to the power of persistence and belief in one's work, even when facing years of skepticism. But it was her technology, the mRNA technology that she developed, that was used in many of the COVID vaccines. So congratulations to Dr. Caitlin Carrico in her late 60s in being a pioneer in that field. Very cool. There's another woman out there I just want to bring up, even though this happened a few months back, but I still think it's important. And I call this Voices of Courage. And this is Giselle Pellico. Well, and I hope I'm saying that right. I'm still learning French, but Giselle Pellicot, Pelicot. She's a French woman, and I should have looked up her age. I know she's over 50, but I don't know if she's 50, 60, 70. But anyway, she's midlife and beyond. And she broke her silence in 2024 to confront her attackers and raise awareness about drug-facilitated sexual assault. Her story, she was married for many, many years. We're talking, and I should have this fact, and going forward, I'll have all my facts in front of me, but married for, I'm going to just say 30 years at least. And her husband drugged her regularly without her knowing it, without her consent, and filmed her at night and had men come in and rape her. And I mean, we're talking, it was a lot, like 30 men at least, just over the course of years. And he filmed it, and these tapes were found, and this is how it was discovered. So you can imagine to the horror that she found out, not only did that happen to her, but her husband did it. Okay. But anyway, the reason why she is a voice of courage is when she went forward in France with this, she said she wasn't going to hide her face. She said, I am not the person to blame here. I am not at fault. I am the victim, and I am walking in there with my head held high. And the people who should be shamed and hiding their faces are, my ex-husband and these men. And so she's now a heroine in France, and I think nationwide, or worldwide, I should say. And voices of courage, we have to speak up. Why be ashamed if something like that happens to one of us? As hard as it would be, we have to hold our head up high and say, we did not do this. Someone else did this to us, and they're the ones that need to be ashamed. So her story is just, well, it's inspiring. It's inspired others to speak out, and reclaim their voices. And it shows that courage knows no age. Okay. And in France, I know she is seen as a hero. And so my hat is off to her. And again, she is living the mod life. You know, every day we're seeing resilience in women who are breaking barriers in high profile fields, but also doesn't have to be high profile. This is about regular women like you and I. But across the globe, women are leading community gardens, they're starting businesses, they're mentoring others, and they're facing challenges within their own families and their lives. And they're doing things that have never been done before in the history of their family line. And so part of this channel and sharing this mod news is that I'm going to highlight these women for you and highlight just different things that are happening in different industries, whether it's medical, whether it's brain research, whether it's technology, and how technology is going to be helping us. We're going to talk a lot about AI, artificial intelligence, and how that's going to help us. And, living, housing, what are the trends, brain health, all that good stuff. So this is the first edition, just to kind of give you a sense of where we want to go with this, and also help me share with you, some of these stories that I think are very, very interesting. We'll be talking about women scientists, women who have come here to this country and really have done some interesting things. And it's gonna run across industries, okay? And so anyway, that's what Mod News is all about. I hope that there was something here today that you heard that might have inspired you, whether it's my story about going to the Jaws 50th anniversary celebration of the movie, to hearing about Giselle over in France and her tragic story, yet her speaking up and being a voice of courage, to some of the brain health breakthroughs that they're going to be coming our way in our lifetime, or Ariana Huffington, whatever it is. Okay. So listen, I look forward to the next edition. We'll be doing this at least once a month on the podcast, and it'll just get better and better. So thanks for your patience and listening. And wherever you are, peace, love, and all things mod, and we'll see you next time. Okay. Bye.